Welcome back to CBS Mornings. Our next guest, we are very happy to tell you, is media mogul. I just like saying media mogul Tyler Perry in the same damn sentence. He's a creator of dozens of movies and shows and runs one of the country's largest production studios. Now, his life is the subject of a new documentary. It's called Maxine's Baby, The Tyler Perry Story. You could say this is a family project named for Perry's mother. Her name was Maxine, and co-directed by the mother of his son, that's Gayle King, focus on his early life and the hardships he faced before success. So in this clip, Tyler Perry shares a candid moment during the grand opening of Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta.
Did he ever think he'll have all of this right now?
Are you really trying that with me right now? Are you really trying that with me right now? It ain't gonna happen, buddy.
I just need.
It ain't gonna happen. You better call Gayle King or Oprah Winfrey or somebody. It ain't gonna happen. I'm not going there.
All right. I'm gonna try on weekend.
Gotta just get through this moment. I have to try not to float above it. See, that's my thing, though. My problem with a lot of things in life is I can float above it, and that's just from childhood. That's from abuse, where it's pain. You just try to get through it. But I found out that I have that with everything. When it's even joy and happiness, if it gets my senses get too heightened, I just want to be above it. So tonight, and every day, and every moment, it's like, calm down, calm down, calm down. You're okay, calm down. You're safe. It's just emotion. It's just feeling. It's good. You're all right. It's love. It's joy. So.
Calm down, you're all right. It's love and joy. Hear, hear. The film will be on Prime, where Tyler Perry has a very exciting 4-picture deal, and he's here in the studio, joining us now, first on CBS Mornings. We're so glad you're here, Tyler. I think that scene is very interesting because it's like you go, nope, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to talk about it. But people close to you say you would not be who you are if you had not lived through the pain. Do you think this is true about yourself?
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. And that's why I tell people who are... So, it's really, really hard for me to watch the doc. I had no creative control here, so I watched it when it was all done. And I said, okay, I'm okay with this, so I can't go back and watch it. But
why is it hard for you to watch?
Well, just reliving my life. It's not a story that I'm telling. I'm not Medea is hiding behind some costume. It's my life, right?
Yes.
But I said that to say anybody who's going through, I tell them once you watch this, I hope that it inspires you. That's the only reason to have this cameras follow me for 10 years. And if that happens, then it was all worth it for me. But yeah.
That ability to float outside or float above, I think a lot of people will relate to that. And you call it your problem, but it's also the power that got you out of that tough situation. Is it both the problem but also the superpower?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a problem as much as it was the thing that helped me cope through all of it. And I know Dr. Robin was here earlier. I'm sure she'd have something to actually explain that phenomenon. But being able to come out of myself whenever there's some sort of heightened sense was something that I really had to work through to understand what it was and to be able to use it for, my show or whatever else I'm doing.
And speaking of working through, in 2009, your mother passed.
Yeah.
And you said that you had to work your way out of sadness. Everything was dull. How did you do that? How did you work your way out of that?
Slowly,
feeling?
with time. Everything I did was about her. All the work was about her. I was never after money. It was always about making enough money to take care of her, to buy her medicine, to make sure that we were never in poverty again. And no matter how much I had, it was never enough. So I had to slowly work my way out of
So she was your motivation before?
1,000%. Yeah. So when she died, all of that was gone. It was like a car that ran on gasoline, all of a sudden saying, now you need diesel to run on.
What's your motivation now?
Wow.
I lost it for a very, very long time. But now my motivation has become watching all of the people who are coming into the studios, young, black, everybody represented who has never gotten a chance in this business. That gives me the inspiration to keep going.
Tyler Perry Studios is an amazing place.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't often give tours there, but you should give tours there because people should see what you have accomplished. But I want to go back to the thing, because I knew your mom, and I know what your mom meant to you, but your dad caused you so much pain, Tyler. And now as you sit here, a father yourself, I mean, you're raised by a dad who said, you ain't boop, you ain't ever gonna be boop, you're worthless, you're this. You didn't take those messages in from him, did you?
I heard them all, but there's still a small voice inside of me saying that's wrong.
Yes.
That's not, you're smarter than that, and that I believe to be the voice that carried me through all of it. And all the things that he did give me an incredible work ethic because I watched this man work very, very hard, but also I learned in reverse of the things that he did.
What do you mean?
Everything he did in order for me to raise my child, because one day I was I'm like, how can I be a father? Nobody taught me how to be this stuff. What do I need to do? And I heard a voice clear as day just say, do the opposite of what he did. So where there was hatred and anger, I just showed emotional love and support and encouragement in the right way for my son.
You
So
tell
I
your
learned it
son you
first.
love him all of the time.
All of the
because you
time,
want
yeah.
him to know what.
Well, I want him to
at one
do
point
that.
in the doc, he says, "You're my hero." I
Yeah.
can't imagine what
Yeah.
that felt like to you as
Yeah.
a father to hear that.
For I think it was 5 years old at the time. For him to say that to me, I was like, wow. Especially coming from what I've come from, and there was such an opposite. So I tell him I love him all the time because I want him to know what that feels like and sounds like from your father. And it's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, so you did not have creative control over this documentary. It was in the hands of the mother of your son.
Yeah.
She's the director of it. Did you learn things about yourself seeing your life through the eyes of someone who knows you, but who is not you?
And was that hard not to have creative control since you write, you direct, you produce?
Yeah, but
Control.
And control,
Yeah, control.
yes.
But here's the thing: if I saw it and didn't like it, it wouldn't have seen the light of day. I couldn't change anything in it, but I certainly could bury that joker. So, but no, it wasn't difficult because she's a brilliant filmmaker, and
Yes.
Armani Ortiz, who also co-directed, they're both brilliant. They know how to paint a story, and I marvel at their talent. They're far more talented than I am. So to see them put it all together, I was really.
You know what else I thought was really interesting is that you've been criticized, particularly in the Black community. And you did not shy away from that. The fact that
They didn't shy away from it.
Okay, they didn't shy, but
Yeah.
you allowed it to be, because,
Yeah.
like you said, if
Yeah.
you didn't like it, you wouldn't have
It
included
featured some of those critics.
Yes, you featured some of the critics. Why was that an important part of the story for them to tell about you?
Because we
And
all
does
have,
that hurt you still?
No, we all have critics. We all have people who don't understand. And when I get into those hoity-toity Negroes who don't understand, looking down their nose at everything and how dare, I marvel at them at how intelligent they are, but how they can miss the most simple things of what this truly is. And I marvel at any Black person who wants to remove themselves from their Blackness. There's this instant thing of, let me get away from where I come from. Let me get away from the Medeas of my family. Let me educate myself away from my Blackness. Those people I don't have respect for. So if they have an opinion, great, you're educated. You get it. I hear you. But I can't respect what you're saying because you don't understand what this is and what this means to us. Black people like my mom, her story needed to be told.
Yes.
Because she has a story. Black people who worked really hard, and it was all of those people who gave birth to us to be able to be that. So.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on
But Hollywood
don't
didn't.
get me
Tyler,
started on. Don't get me
Tyler-
started on them Negroes, Gayle. I'm sorry.
But let's talk about
But
it.
Hollywood didn't understand it either. They go, do you know who Tyler Perry is?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's making so much money telling what kind of stories?
Yeah.
What were you going to
In
say?
other words,
Nate?
you're saying that there is a duplicity.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
there is the highbrow, if you will,
Yeah.
or the intelligent Black family,
Yeah.
and then there are some country bumpkins, and you are telling every story in between that. Which is why when you get into these conversations, it could be somewhat frustrating.
No, and I think some of us would resent that country bumpkin because I'm from Greensburg, Louisiana, too.
And I mean that in the most complimentary way.
No, I understand that, but no, I just here's what is important. Every person's story matters, right? My mother, who didn't have some great legacy to give me, she had a story, Nobody knew her name, but they'll know it now because she had a story. And when I'm telling my stories, no matter how broad or how big, when I see them lift someone out of despair or see someone laughing and coming into theater one way and leaving another, I've done exactly what I was supposed to do. That's what matters to me. That is why I've had this level of success.
You know
And that is what's
exactly.
speaking to so
You know
many people.
exactly what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're also in a very unique position. We keep hearing the SAG after strike is about to end. You've had a very unique perspective in that you're also an actor, you're also a studio head, so you can see both sides.
Yeah.
What is your take on as we sit here today?
Well, I've tried to have as many private conversations as I could because here I am, as you said, being studio head, being a owner of a streamer. I understand that, but also understanding how important it is for the working actor. And what you have to understand about the United Auto Workers, when that strike ended, what was clear about this, they knew where they were going to work, right? And as actors, we don't know that. So Georgia's a right to work state, but I closed the doors to stand in solidarity with SAG. So I completely get what we're fighting for. I've also sat on the other side of the table negotiating against people on the AMPTP. So I understand that part of the negotiation. But in understanding the working actor, I only say this publicly because she said it. I paid Cicely Tyson $1 million for 1 day at work because when actors get to a certain age, they're pretty much discarded. Taraji P. Henson talks about me paying her $500,000 years ago to set her quote. I recently paid 2 black women who've been in the business for 25 years $1 million because even when their agents were asking for less than half of that, because I understand the working actor. But I also understand as we're looking at all of this and as we're negotiating, it is so important that Fran Drescher, Duncan Ireland, the whole negotiating committee have done a fantastic job moving this forward. They have gotten this way further than anybody thought we could get it. So I'm so proud of what they've done.
Tyler.
But it's really important to know, when we've won. This is only a 3-year deal. And in 2 years, 2.5 years, we'll be renegotiating again. So we have to know, when have we won? And when have we won for now?
For now.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
There's a long-term goal.
For now. And if I had ran my business like trying to get everything at once, I wouldn't be here. I've got as much as I can for now.
Yeah.
So let's see what we can do next.
It's the for now.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling not being able to work all this time? Because I know working feeds you.
That's been debilitating.
I'll
It's
bet.
been debilitating for
you.
me in the sense of that is the very thing that gives me the level of comfort and how I process everything in my life. So to take that away from me has been very much taking a dagger to a lot of parts of my soul. But I'll get back to
Well,
it.
hopefully it's going to end.
for work.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
name of
I
the
don't even think
documentary?
about those people. My God, I'm doing fundraisers at the studios. We're doing food drives, giving to
your
all the other
employees.
unions who are struggling.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I can't say enough, audience, about this documentary. I love how it ends because you're asked, who is Tyler Perry? And he goes, you know who I am. And the guy goes, I know you are, but who do you think you are? And you just take a pause. You go, I'm Maxine's baby. Oh,
mom.
it is so powerful and so well done. Bravo, Tyler.
Thank you
Bravo.
very much, Gayle.
Maybe
Thank you.
difficult to talk about, but it's very, 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 very well done.
Since its creation back in 2000, the Michael J. Fox Foundation has funded nearly, check this number out, $2 billion worth of Parkinson's research. We caught up with Fox to talk about the evolving changes of living with the disease and the global impact of his foundation.
They didn't have money, they didn't have a voice, and I thought, well, I could step in for these people and raise some hell.
After more than 3 decades of living with Parkinson's disease, Michael J. Fox is raising a lot more than just hell.
It's impossible to put into words.
He's raising the bar and a whole lot of money for Parkinson's research. Earlier this year, a landmark clinical study led by his foundation discovered a biomarker, a protein found in spinal fluid that can help detect Parkinson's in patients, and in some cases, even years before the first symptoms of the disease appear.
It's like a cure, but it's a big spotlight on where we need to go and what we need to focus on. So we know we're on the right path, and we're very proud.
Parkinson's disease is a progressive brain disorder that over time can strip away a person's movement and speech. There is no cure. Have you had moments where you didn't always have this handsome smile on your face and things maybe seemed a little bleak and dark, and you found yourself battling what might seem like depression or uncertainty?
Yesterday at 3:57 in the afternoon. I mean, always.
Always, really?
Always. The positivity is really sincere, and I really feel it, and it's genuine. But it's hard fought. And it's hard won, I should say. This fear, we can find ways to just give ourselves a break, give ourselves credit and for getting through life on life's terms. And in order to do that, we have to stop and say, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Last time we talked, I learned a little bit more about you. I learned a little bit more about myself. And just right now, that was another moment where you were very honest, saying, yeah, yesterday I had those moments where things weren't.
Fear.
You had fear. And as an athlete with an ego and bravado, I hid that fear for a long time. And now I'm a little bit more open with myself and my family about when I am struggling, when things are dark. So I just want to say thank you for saying that.
Yeah, the opposite of fear is faith.
The whole idea is if you're true to yourself and you're true to the people that love you, everything's going to be okay.
What will we do, baby, without us?
And Fox's Corner for the last 35 years has been his biggest advocate, fan, and partner. His wife, Tracy Pollock. who he met on the set of Family Ties in 1985. What is it like to have her with you every step of the way?
Well, it's great for me. I don't know how it is for her, but you know, I love Tracy, and obviously, and she's an amazing person, and has gone through a lot.
So the most important question will remain: what will it take to eradicate this disease once and for all?
Then I realized that she has a life separate apart from me having Parkinson, separate apart from me being Alex Keaton or Marty McFly. That she's a person, and I think that's why it's gone okay. I figured that out. Up top. I had no idea what to expect. Neither did she, but she kind of indicated to me by saying better or for worse. Sickness and health, that she was gonna hang out and get me through it, or go through it with me, and she has for 35 years.
For better, for worse, those words have a different meaning.
Like I would say, we knew the bus was coming, and it was gonna hit, but we didn't know how far away it was, and how fast it was going. So, it really, I mean, any time she would have been forgiven, to say, I always just step out, but she didn't do that.
Jennifer Hudson is with us right now. Good morning, Jay. How you doing?
Morning. Thank you guys for having
that
me.
never
I
gets
love
old.
this outfit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking
Right.
fly as usual.
Thank you.
So what was it like performing with Smokey Robinson, doing that duet?
Such a dream. Like, I mean, I love being able to sit with legends like that and just pick their brains and learn as much as I can. And then I'm a fan.
Of
So to
course.
be able to sing with them on my show and have that type of moment, oh my God. It's one of my favorite moments this season.
I know. Just look what you said on my show.
I know.
Let's say
Okay,
that again.
okay.
On my show. Nominated for 6 Emmys.
Oh, my God.
What is it like for you, Jennifer? I remember when we talked to you before you started, and you knew it was going to be a lot of hard work, but hard work doesn't scare you. Has there been anything that surprised you or that you learned while doing it? Because it's hard day to day. People should understand
It
that.
is. You know, I mean, it's something I'm learning as I go. You know, it's something new to me. But I think I thrive off of the energy of the people.
Yeah.
I do realize it's like its own production, unlike acting or performing. You know, it's like, okay, no, this is on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do have the support of the audience. I feel like
course.
they're there with me, and it's their energy that lifts
And
me
you
up.
have a really good team. I mean,
And
people
an
thought,
awesome
Jennifer
team.
Hudson's doing a talk show, and you said, yes, because I love people.
Yes.
Part of the thing that I think is fun about the show is the way that you've done something new this season where you surprise guests.
Yes.
Like you showed up at somebody's, well, you didn't show up, it was very well
Tracy
produced.
and Pat's wedding.
Yeah, that you showed up and you performed at their wedding unbeknownst to the bride and the groom.
Yes.
You love doing that,
Oh,
surprising the people.
my
I
God.
think that's fun this season.
You know, that's what it's about, you know, celebrating everyday people and,
Right.
and making beautiful memories and moments. I love bringing people together. You know, I feel like we need more positivity in the world.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
Especially now.
But
Yeah.
speaking of memories and moments, in an episode of your show that's going to air tomorrow, as I understand it, you got swimming lessons from Ryan Locke, 12-time Olympic
Yes,
gold
yes.
You didn't just go down to the Y and get the local coach.
I needed a little more help.
Yes.
There
yeah,
you are in
get-
the pool.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, it's something I've never done is swim. I wanted to learn how to swim. And then
Why did you
it-
want to learn how to swim?
Well, because it's like I'm always trying.
Yeah.
I like to explore and do new things.
I think
and it's
everybody
never
should
too
know how
late
to swim.
to try.
Everybody should know. It's the
Yes,
thing in the
and then
black
that.
community. So many black people don't know how to
Exactly.
swim. Yeah.
And I was one of them. And so maybe it inspired others to want to learn as well, you know?
Did you learn?
I did.
So you
I
can
mean, I
swim
had
now?
the best teacher as well. And apparently he's like, are you kidding me? Like, you can really swim. And I'm like, I can. But just a little bit of encouragement
Right.
will get me that much further. So now, I want to try to get a gold medal. I'm just saying.
Speaking of teaching, you're a mother of a teen boy. And what have you taught him over the past couple of years as you learned more about yourself as a mom?
Oh, my goodness. So many things. But I feel like, we learn from our children as well.
What are you learning from him?
Oh, my good. I mean, I always say you never know how much your mother loves you until you have a child to love.
Yes.
You know? And also seeing whatever's instilled in your kids shows how much is within you, you know?
Yeah.
Like seeing his passion or his heart, his perspective. And right now he's a teenager, and it's a new phase. So I'm learning how to be a teenage mom while he's new at being a teenager.
That's different.
And I'm like, Lord, this is a new phase now.
It is.
Hold on, but I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And we're both learning as we go.
A lot of us got to know you through American Idol. It's astounding to me that you didn't win American Idol that year. I voted for you several times,
Thank
Jennifer.
you.
What does that mean to you? What place does that hold for you? When you look at yourself on American Idol back in the day, your mom encouraged you
Yes.
to apply.
Yes.
You said even now when you try to decide what to do, you think, what would your mom think?
Yes.
When you look back on that, what does that mean to you when you look at yourself? Who was that girl back then? Look at you.
A dreamer, my mother taught us whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing I try to instill in my son,
Of
just
course.
the same. And so even to this day, when things get tough or hard, the first thing I say is, well, what would my mama say? What would she do? And somewhere within that, I find the answer, the solution, or the comfort, And another thing she used to always say, did you pray today? And I tell my son that same thing. Did you pray today? Because that can help make a difference in the day. And when I look back to my American Idol journey and my best friend, Walter, who is here right
Walter's
now.
here, yes.
I always say, friend, we actually made it.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe it?
No doubt.
We had a vision as children, and to see it manifest. And we've been friends since we were 11 years old. And he said,
I'm still together.
And we're still together.
That's
living our
Professionally,
dream.
Jennifer is doing well. Personally, is Jennifer doing well?
Yes.
Word on the street is you're very happy.
I am very
In a
happy.
very nice relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
With someone who shall remain nameless.
So you booed up.
Booed up? I think it's more sophisticated than booed up.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a situationship.
Situation.
It's not an entanglement, is what I'm trying to
It's
say.
definitely not an entanglement. That's for sure.
Jennifer Hudson, thank you so much for coming.
Hillary Duff joins us now in studio for the first time. Hillary, thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's a beautiful book. The words are gorgeous, the pictures are beautiful, and the message is very powerful. It's important. What inspired you to take another swing at this whole children's book thing?
Writing a boy book to follow my girl book felt like a natural thing to do, a natural step to take. And it was actually a little bit backwards because I had my boy first.
He's 11.
He's 11, but the first book was inspired by going back to work and leaving my 4-month-old for the first time, and me just realizing how brave she had to be because it was so hard for me. And I'm like, but she's 4 months old and I'm all she knows. And so this one was a little tougher because I felt like I was going backwards so many years in remembering what my first experiences with motherhood was like and having this little boy and what was important for me to try to teach him and instill along the way, and my experiences with him liking flowers and being really sensitive, but then also like banging up things, and like it was all of the things, and I wanted to really include that in the book. Because it felt like an important message.
Sweet is such an important word in the title, and there's a page in the book where you talk about when you feel your emotions, let your tears fall. We've been
love
talking
that.
all week. It's a beautiful sentiment about on Saturday, 2 college football quarterbacks for different reasons crying on the field.
We love to see it.
Yes.
We love to see it.
Tell me about why you love it. I mean, why did you want to include that sentiment? Why was that important to put in the book?
For a boy, yeah.
For a boy.
Yeah, gosh, because I think there's so much power in that, being able to access your emotions. And I know with my journey with him, it's like with boys, it's like, come on, be tough, get up. You're okay, you're okay. That was like something I constantly heard. And I'm like, maybe he's not okay right now.
Yeah.
And that is, who am I to say that he should be okay or to tell him that in that moment he's not. And he's going to learn how to keep himself in control when he's older. But right now, why are we going to try to squash that and bury it when...
Put a lid on it.
Put a lid on it, right? Sometimes I want them to put a lid on it. But not all the time. I want him to feel the power of his whole self.
Yeah.
I'm with Tony. I love the messaging in the books, and you will know right from wrong, my sweet little boy. I hope when something feels wrong, you speak up.
Yeah.
When something feels right, you enjoy that. But I wonder if when you're thinking about, because a lot of people know you as Lizzie McGuire. This is what dreams are made of. Hey now. What does that mean when you hear yourself about Lizzie McGuire? So many people, listen, we know you're a best-selling author, Hillary Duff.
2 times over.
Times over.
I predict.
Yeah, my prediction too, Tony. I think you're absolutely right. But for many people, you are Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah.
Where does that sit with you as you sit here today? Are you living your dream? Is this your dream?
Oh my gosh, yes, of course. I think that, that is just a part of my identity that will be there forever. And I think...
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
It's a good time for you.
I'm so at peace with it. I think for a while in my 20s, it was a little bit difficult.
It was eye roll?
It was a little eye roll. Yeah. And now I realize how, like, I'm a mother and I have 3 kids and my life is very full at home. And, you know, I have so many opportunities in my career and I feel so lucky for that, to still be able to sit here. You know, I've been doing this for 20 plus years and that's a long time to still have people care about me.
For sure.
And it is just
care.
a special part of my life. It was impactful to so many, and I honor that.
What's your biggest takeaway? What do you want people to take away from this book?
In 20 seconds or less.
Oh, God. I want people to remember. You know, this was a big book of remembrance for me, taking a walk down memory lane of my little boy now, but
Did
also...
Luca like it?
He loves it.
Good.
He loves the dedication at the end.
The same week that Batiste made history with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 11 Grammy nominations, the love of his life, Suleika Jawad, learned that her leukemia had in fact returned. A new film called American Symphony documents their love story of art and survival as they fought Suleika's leukemia, while Jon Batiste, in the middle of all this, composed an original symphony. So only on CBS Mornings, and you know we like when that happens, we've got an exclusive first look at the trailer.
I'm always in awe of Suleika, how she deals with hardship.
My first day of chemo, his 11 Grammy nominations were announced.
I won the biggest prize in music, come home, she's back in the hospital. This is what we're dealing with.
Butterfly all alone.
We both see survival as a creative act.
But can you fly on your own?
These rings are a token of your marriage covenant.
In the world today.
Oh, yeah.
Side shot, I've loved that shot. Jon Batiste is also an executive producer on the film, and he's here in the studio. Jon, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. Good morning.
Let us talk about American Symphony. It's so many conflicting emotions for me. When they say, for better or worse, you two certainly exemplify that.
Yep.
But what happens is you are going through the best time and the worst time all at the same time, the duality of that.
Absolutely.
So you start making this documentary, you were going to concentrate on your music and your Grammy nominations.
Yes.
And then you get hit with the news of your wife. But you still kept filming, yes.
In the same week, we get the news, you're nominated for 11 Grammys. Your wife, leukemia, is here.
Has returned, yeah.
We don't know if she's going to make it.
Yes.
And the thing about that is you realize in that moment what you really care about and what's most important. Awards are nice, and it's nice to win awards. Having music as a part of your creative survival mechanism is how we made it through. She started to paint in the hospital.
Yeah.
And finding that real truth and purity in the creative process and in our love.
Yes.
That was the key of that entire thing unfolding in a way that we couldn't have predicted.
But the cameras were...
Cameras.
You wouldn't have wanted cameras to film? Yeah.
Who would want cameras in these intimate, vulnerable moments in the bone marrow transplant unit? Yeah. Or in your bedroom at the end of the night when you're trying to decompress and debrief and be with each other, and you don't know how much of those moments you're gonna have. It's a gray area at this point.
But you decided to share it with us. I'm glad you did, but you decided to share it with us.
We had to continually reassess that decision every other week. You know, this is an incredible documentarian filmmaker, Matthew Heineman, and he's known for risking his life to make films, literally embedding with drug cartels or being in Afghanistan. And he put that approach into this documentary and embedding into our lives. So you had 14 hours a day of filming and 1,500 hours of footage by the end of this to make this documentary. So there's so much vulnerability. There's so much truth, and it felt at a certain point that it was bigger than us. It felt like it was an ordained calling by God to continue to film. It didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel like something that we would have decided to do on our own.
Yes.
But in the moment that it was happening, I started to ask myself the question, why is this happening? And we started to ask, as a family, what is the purpose of us having these cameras in this moment? It has to be happening for a reason.
What was the answer you got? What was the answer you got to that question?
It was meant to empower other people through our experience, and it was meant for us to learn a lesson on what it truly means to say those vows and to be together. And what ultimately in this world of, the celebrity and privacy as a premium to kind of create a mystique and distance, what is the purpose of the platform and of the creative arts?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of these things that we have at our disposal? It's to heal, and it's to bring people together and to show we're not alone out there. Everybody's going to have these ups and downs.
Yeah.
That's life. That's the symphony of life.
That's the symphony of life. Well put. Because of the time this was shot, around COVID, and then also the hospital visits, you were wearing masks.
Oh.
And I found it very poetic that as we were watching everybody with masks on, you were unveiling yourself, moment after moment, in front of the world.
Yes.
What was it like to watch this all back right now, the stage that you are in?
I mean, it's hard for me, to be completely honest, it's hard for me to watch it back. I've gotten to the point where I can have some form of objectivity with it. To be honest, I also felt that I didn't remember a lot of things that were happening when I watched it back.
You were in the moment.
I didn't remember. I didn't remember that there was a camera there, let alone that it happened. I just remember being in the moment and in the flow and being pulled by something so much greater than myself and really just wanting to be there for Suleika because she's amazing.
She is.
I know I tell Gayle, I talk her up when we come and we get together. But
she's amazing.
She's absolutely incredible how she faces darkness and hardship and looks it right in the eye and dominates it.
Yeah, she looks at it and she says, face it. But one thing Suleika said, the doctor was saying, you have to live every day like it's your last. And her philosophy is, don't say that to me. That's not helpful.
Right.
Tell me to live every day like it's my first.
Yeah, I love that. Yep.
I've never forgotten that. Live every day like it's my first.
Yes.
Just a change in that perspective.
Setting your intention and focusing on what you'd like to see happening.
Yeah.
Ultimately that's the power you have in the moment, and all we have is the moment. And that also puts into perspective what's most important. I'd say for us, we figured out each other, our creative arts, our family, our freedom, and understanding that the present is a gift.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a literal present.
Yeah.
It's something that God has given us, and we're living through it with such joy and such positivity in the face of all odds.
Yeah.
Could you get a little bit more specific on something that everybody wrestles with, which is the balance between their professional ambitions and their family life? You talk about that perspective. Every great work of art has some cost in the creation, someone's personal life. How do you now, at this stage in your life, think about the two?
That's a good question.
Wow. Whoa, that's Tony. It's ultimately a cost. You said it. It's a sacrifice. You have to decide and prioritize. And you have to know that if I give myself to this, I can't give myself to that. In a moment where you're being pulled in all these directions, 11 Grammy nominations, all of these moments you've been working towards to meet, that's the thing that I realized in that moment. And also, ultimately, writing this symphony and understanding that the intrinsic value of this piece meant more than a career milestone. It was a way for us to express these deeper truths, not only ancestrally, musically, but our truth of what we were going through in this moment and channel that into the piece. So then, finding ways to integrate what you're doing creatively with your career and your life. That's the ultimate synergy, and it's not always possible. When you can do that, it creates something that is remarkable for yourself, even if people don't quite understand the depth of it.
But John, how is she? I know we have to go, but how is she today? Tell people, because she's
doing great.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's a miracle. Praise God. It's unbelievable how she's moving through the world right now. We're moving through the world together. And this film is a celebration of so much. And I'm grateful that we could share it with the world and that it was accomplished in the way that it has been accomplished.
I can't wait for people to see it.
It's amazing.
It's so powerful.
It really is amazing.
So well done. You were walking joy to me. Really.
Oh, my goodness.
You were walking.
You're a walking instrument.
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you.
Nate. You understand.
Thank you.
Oh.
Jeez.
Rachel Maddow is the longtime host on MSNBC, known for her sharp analysis of the political world, also for her books. They include Drift, Blowout, and Bagman, and now there's a new one. It's called Prequel. It traces America's long fight against fascism within its own borders, including Nazi attacks on our democracy before World War II. These were attacks that many Americans sympathized with and supported. And Rachel joins us now. It's so good to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I know you walked in, I go, she's here. Nice to have you here. Yeah.
We have so much we want to talk to you about,
Yeah.
but let's start with the book, because when you gave a galley to your father, and I mentioned this in the tease, he thought it was kind of dark.
Yeah.
But then when I hear you talk about it, you're quite energized because of the way things turned out. So let's take the dark side first. How close were we leading up to World War II with America being toppled from within?
The United States was subject to all the same things that all the other major democracies in the world were subject to at the time. Germany falling to Hitler, Italy falling to Mussolini, Spain falling to Franco. We had the British Union of Fascists in Britain. We had a big fascist uprising in France that actually overturned their elected government. All of those international winds blew here, too. And there was a surprisingly large, surprisingly influential movement of Americans who sided with Germany, who wanted us to fight on the other side in that war. And I think we've forgotten it because of the way it worked out. You know, it's easy to think we were the good guys, they were the bad guys. We went over there, beat them, and it was over. But there was a lot here in the United States to contend with in terms of people who sympathized with what Hitler was doing and who wanted a version of that here.
And so you've got the most famous figures in media, in business, and not only people working outside the halls of power, but members of Congress who are also sympathizing and supporting. And there are weapons, and there are militias, and there are actual plans. What stops this, and what lessons are there in that for now and for the future?
The big lesson is that you kind of need everything. So you've got 24 members of Congress who are working with a Nazi agent on a plan hatched by the Nazi government in Berlin to propagandize the American people. I mean, these are members of the United States Senate who were on the Nazi payroll. It's shocking to hear about it. But there was also, you know, there was a big prosecution. There was the Great Sedition Trial of 1944, where 29 different Americans involved in this plot were put on trial. There was incredible journalism. There was incredible activism where people infiltrated these groups to figure out what they were doing, to publicize what they were doing. One of the biggest takeaways is that, you know, not any one thing works as a silver bullet, but when the American public learns about these things, when they get exposed, they tend to vote no. And when it involves elected officials, they tend to vote them out, which is what happened to a lot of the bad guys in this book.
But your book also highlights the connection between Semitism and fascism.
Yeah.
And that they were so deeply intertwined back then.
Yes.
And now we see the rise in anti-Semitic attacks here in this country. Now in 2023, Rachel.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't that set off alarm bells about where we're going?
Yes.
So frightening.
It is a huge red flag. And I feel like the thing that became more clear to me by looking at this other time in our own history, it's one thing to see it in another country. It's another thing to see it in your own time.
Yes.
But seeing it in our own country in another time, for some reason, for me, is very clarifying. And it made me realize that anti-Semitism, and not just talking about a disfavored minority like they're bad, but coming up with these toxic conspiracy theories. They're not just bad, they're secretly in control, they're secretly powerful, they're secretly behind all the bad things in the world. That kind of conspiracy theory is really politically useful to people who want us to get rid of our democracy. Because they're trying to say, you know, hey, democracy is where we're all participating as equals in a decision about what the country should be like. If you're led to believe that there's some secret group, some minority that's evil, that's working against everybody else, well, what that's telling you is that we can't be in a democracy together because we need to be protected from those bad people. It works the same way then as it does now.
Let's talk about the results yesterday, some of them. That's why it's so great that you're here today of all days.
Yeah.
Big wins in Ohio when it comes to abortion rights, big wins for Democrats in Virginia. And now people are saying, well, this is a really good indication of how 2024 could go. Do you think that's true when so many people are saying Joe Biden at the top of the ticket may not be the way to go? So many people do not feel he should run.
Even people who like him and who are Democrats.
Yes, yes.
Well, we're in this, you know, I feel like it's this very...
And I know it's a long time.
It's a long time. We still have a year to go before the presidential election. I feel like it's a very Democratic Party thing right now to have Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. Since we've had Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, Democrats won the presidency. They did fantastically well in 2022, far exceeding their expectations. now in 2023, far exceeding expectations, winning the Kentucky governor's race, taking the Virginia legislature, taking a Pennsylvania Supreme Court seat. I mean, basically everything they could have won, they won.
Then why are Democrats still so worried?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the way the Democratic Party is worried. Yeah. To have poll numbers that make you feel bad, to spend all of your time panicking while you keep winning election after election after election after election. And it's almost the opposite side, the opposite scene on the Republican side. With Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, they lost the White House, they lost the House, they lost the Senate, they had 2 impeachments, they've got 91 felony counts against the guy who's at the top of their ticket, and they feel absolutely as confident as they've ever felt about their chances. So I think it's more about the mindset of the two parties. Even when Democrats are doing great under Joe Biden, all they want to do is panic.
But what's the point you're making? The Democrats shouldn't
panic? That they shouldn't panic?
Yeah.
I mean, because...
Yeah.
Democratic election results since Joe Biden has been leading the Democratic Party have been excellent for Democrats.
But is that because
the polling results, sure, are worrying.
Troubling, yeah.
And it means the Biden re-election effort needs to, double, triple, quadruple its efforts. But the only polls that matter are the votes. And the votes that have been cast in every election since Biden has been at the top have been great news for Democrats.
But you hear from voters who say already that they are prepared, if it's a Biden-Trump matchup, to vote down the ticket, vote for who they like, but leave the presidential race blank. That's got to be worrying news, not just a bad poll result for Democrats.
No, surely. And, the polling, as I said, if I were part of the Biden re-election campaign, I would be, up all night and staring at the ceiling and worried. But everybody working on a presidential re-election campaign should always feel that way. I mean, I don't know that they need to change course so drastically given the way the Democratic Party is performing under his leadership.
Things seem so stuck.
Let's talk about Donald Trump on trial.
Speaking of Trump,
he took the witness stand on Monday, and once again you hear that phrase, we've never seen anything like this before, with his behavior in courtroom and the way the judge responded. It was just, a lot of people, jaw-dropping. What do you make of the trial? Ivanka's going to take the stand today.
Yeah.
And his chances, because the more he seems to be in trouble legally, the more his numbers go up.
Yeah, and again, it's poll numbers, it's not votes. We'll see how it plays out. If they decide that the Republicans are going to put him as their nominee for the presidency again. He is proposing a very, very, very radical departure from previous American Democratic norms if he is reelected.
And he's already telling us that ahead of time. Yeah.
If, Washington Post reported this weekend that he plans to invoke the Insurrection Act the first day of his second term. The Insurrection Act lets you deploy the U.S. military against American civilians on American soil. Why do you want to do that on day one? Like the kind of things that he's promising are very, very radical changes for the country.
Well, it's a reminder that your book is called Prequel.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, living in present time, as they say in the
exactly.
acting world. Richard Maddow, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
One of the best actors of his generation, actor Courtney B. Vance, has starred on stage and screen in roles like Johnny Cochran in The People vs. O.J. Simpson and so many more. Now he's opening up about his personal experience with grief and trauma. In The Invisible Ache, Black men identifying their pain and reclaiming their power, Vance writes about his own mental health and losing his dad and godson to suicide. Co-written by psychologist Robin L. Smith, the book aims to offer practical tools to help Black boys and men. The authors join us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in.
It's good to be here.
Courtney, I want to start with you. You opened up about some very personal times in your life, which is about your father and your godson's death. What helped you get through those times?
Well, my family, my mother challenged us, my sister and I, to, when we come back to our cities, our respective cities, to find some therapy, find a therapist. And who knows, how do you do that? That was the question for both of us. And it's, it's a question for everyone. It's very difficult, but what pulled me through it and pushed me through it was that I know I needed to. It was time. I'd gone as far as I could go, and succeeding and achieving.
On
now
your
it's
own.
time to recover.
But I want to pick up what Nate was saying, because you're 30 years old. You get the call from your mother that nobody wants to get. Your family's sort of stunned that your dad has taken his own life because he was always a strong one. He was always, hardworking. You said you loved your dad, but you hardly knew him.
Yeah.
And so how did you process all that, Courtney? At 30 years old, you were a grown-up then.
Yeah, I was. But I, when you go back home, you still feel like a little boy or a little girl.
Right.
You said you felt like a little boy dealing with big man stuff.
Yeah, and thank God, as I said, thank God for family, my sister and I, and thank God our mother encouraged us to go back, and all three of us to find therapy. So, and the journey of finding someone, and when I finally shook her hand, Dr. Margaret Kornfeld, yes.
Dr. K, you called her,
Dr. K, I knew right away that I was home, and I was talking a mile a minute.
Yeah.
But the journey to that, I was sitting with an African-American therapist, and for an hour, 50 minutes, we just sat there and looking at each other.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, "What are you gonna?
Help me.
Help me.
Help
She
me."
just kept looking at me.
But Robin, number one, I love how the book is written. Both of you are writing chapters.
Yep.
You say there's another pandemic in the Black community. It's called mental health. Silence isn't golden, you say, Robin. It's deadly.
Absolutely. What we find, Gayle and Nate, and what the Invisible Ink really focuses on is that Black men and boys are swallowing their pain. They're leaving their vulnerability, which is their superpower, and their entitlement to be whole. Because they're taught that if you are strong, you never let someone see you sweat. Well,
You're taught man up.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's good maybe for a deodorant commercial, but it does not work for the soul.
Yeah.
The soul needs to sweat, and tears are our teacher. And so there's a proverb that we use in the book that says the lion's story will never be known as long as the hunter is the one to tell it. And so what we're doing is we're taking the teeth from the hunter and making sure that the lions begin to tell and narrate and reclaim their own story.
Yeah, for so long, young Black boys and men are complimented for carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders and doing it quietly, not knowing that it might be too heavy for them at times. I want to get both of your opinions on something. We actually talked about this on the show. A young man from USC lost a football game, the starting quarterback, Caleb Williams, and will be maybe the top pick in the NFL draft. After the game, he runs to his mother, cries in her arms.
Yesterday.
I
watched you.
Yeah, well, thank you for watching.
I saw
and it was the topic of conversation. And you talk about how Black men should cry.
Yeah.
Cry often.
Cry till you
loud,
can cry no
cry
more.
ugly. Cry till there's no tears left.
Yeah.
Why do you believe it's important? And what did you think about that moment?
I rejoiced. I rejoiced because as a Black man and a Black boy, so much of our humanity and their humanity has been chipped away. If you were told that you were only 3/4 human, when did you discover that actually you were whole? And whole means that you have holes, H-O-L-E-S.
Right.
You long to be whole, W-H-O-L-E, which is to have all of your feelings, which is a holy journey, H-O-L-Y. And so this to me is saying, I don't have to shave off part of me to be in the game. I actually have all of me on the field and off the field, which is more powerful to see than a man who is afraid of his heart.
I want to go to you, Courtney, because you write very powerfully about you woke up, you were having bad dreams, you and Angela Bassett, your lovely wife, who's knockout powerhouse, and you hear the doctor and Angela saying breakdown, psychiatrist, hospital. You hear those words, and you think what to yourself?
I'm all of a failure of a husband and a man, and I've been fighting my faith for our entire marriage and the first 3 years of our marriage, and I've tried to do things my way, and to try to get her to do what I think that we should be doing. And
but you say therapy is your first safe harbor. I think that's very important.
Yeah, it taught me, it began to teach me that one of the things that Dr. K gave to me was that, Courtney, do you have the patience to let the mud settle in the water and the water become clear? Do you have the patience? I said no at the time. But she was preparing me for the next phase of my life, which was Angela and then the twins.
Yeah.
Because you know, in a marriage, you got to have some patience.
No doubt,
Yeah,
no
and
doubt.
you said when the storm comes, ask the question, what are you going to do about it?
What you gonna do?
Yeah, this is a very, very, very
It's
powerful
really good. And I'll leave everybody with this, something else I took away. Self-care is non-negotiable.
It is non-negotiable. We can't make it
That's right.
through the journey without caring for the
Courtney
self.
V. Vance, Robin L. Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you.